Well, hello people. So today I've been working on a new growing bed. So many of you will be aware that in that raised bed there, I have potatoes growing, variety Desiree. So I had this space here and I want to try and maximise the growing space I've got, try and grow as much as is reasonably possible. So many of you out there will also have that goal. So what did I decide to do? So I decided to do a no dig bed, and basically that is what it says it is. You don't dig it. So the traditional way would be to, get your fork and dig the grass up and then set into the soil that you've turned over and dug. There you go. Well, with no dig, what you do is you put a membrane down, such as cardboard in this case, and then you put your growing medium on top, and then you set straight into that. So I've used this to very good effect before. Now, some people, when you suggest this, it's not their thing, let's put it that way. But there's lots of evidence to suggest that crops grown using the no-dig method can be more nutritious than those with used, dug, produced, whatever, in the traditional way. So there you go, check that research out if that interests you. So there we go. Now, the way I've done this is I've built or put down some cardboard around this apple tree. Now, this is not ideal, okay, because there's an apple tree here, but I'm not willing to move this lovely apple tree, variety Worcester pearman. I wish for it to remain here. So what I've done is put my cardboard around like that, and you can probably see a plant pot down there that I've put around the trunk of the tree so that the growing medium doesn't go up against it. That way, my growing medium is all around here, covering over most of the cardboard, and then the crops that I intend to put in here when they're ready, I can then sow them straight into here. So with regards to the no-dig method, there is one problem that I've encountered, and many of you would encounter this initially, and that is to get your growing medium for the top, okay? If you're new to gardening, or you don't have much space, or you haven't composted much, and you can't get hold of any for free, or lack of compostable materials, you may not have the growing medium in order to put down. So one way around this is to, in your first year, buy some compost, okay? Which is what I've done here. Now, in previous years, once again, if you check out them videos, you will see that a lot of that compost there was made down the actual allotment itself out of manure and organic matter. And once you get into this symbiotic thing, you will eventually end up with loads of compost that you can just year on year keep putting on top over your no-dig beds. And I found this very advantageous because in the heat of the summer, when it's very hot and dry, which in the southeast of the UK here, we do tend to get quite dry summers, by UK standards anyway. And I remember looking around the allotment at some of the other people's allotments, and you could see the soil was dry, cracked, and the plants lacked vigour, or could lack vigour. Whereas on the no-dig allotment, you could see the difference clearly, and with the nutrition laid on the top constantly being added to in forms of composted manure and standard compost, if you want to call it that, from the bin, you can end up with some really, really good growing mediums and some very good, lovely crops which can do better in the drought because they're stronger. So, I'm certainly an advocate of the no-dig method. It's not for everybody, and I like to use a combination of the two. So that's what I've done here. Hello, so I'm sitting here by the compost bin that I built a week or so ago, and you can see the pile here is getting to quite a nice size now. It's mainly composed of grass clippings, kitchen waste, weeds and sawdust. So should be quite a lot here when this is ready. Of course this pile will compost down. It won't be as big as this when it's in its final form, but I'm going to keep adding to this. Of course, working as a gardener and from my grass cutting jobs and things like that, getting hold of grass clippings is particularly easy for me, but for many people that won't be. But if you're cutting your grass, compost it. Don't leave it out for the bin men or whatever if you want to get into this method. Other people will probably be quite happy to give you their grass clippings that you can work on composting on, and you know, you might just have some Dalek compost bins, something like that. So yeah, worth investing the time in, I think, and I'm expecting this project to be quite interesting indeed. So I'll leave you with some videos now. Check out my playlist if you wish on the no dig method, and also check out the work of Charles Dowding if you can, alright, because very interesting. He's got a good YouTube channel, and I read a book a few years ago written by himself, and that was a very good read as well. So no dig, very symbiotic, and when one thinks about it, very natural, you know, because just think about, you know, the trees lose their leaves, then they naturally get composted into the ground, don't they? Now it goes to simplicity, really, if one thinks about it. So there you go. If you like my work, as always, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. See you next time. So I should be able to get a bed of good size here, and you can see the apple tree there. You can see here I'm fast starting to get a good collection of compostable materials. So I've got grass there and kitchen scraps here, and that's quite a big area for composting. It's about 7 feet, so you know, really planning on getting a good amount of compost going here. And you can see I've got here, this is some cardboard. The worms love chewing through that. It's generally recommended, if you're going to use cardboard, that you don't use one that's, you know, sort of shiny and plasticky, if you will. Good advice is to use the you know, just the plain clear cardboard such as this. Good to hold moisture as well. And when one gets quite near this, one can actually feel the warmth, particularly on the compost that's been here for a few days. And already, look, you can see that we're starting to get a bit of grey looking compostable or composted grass, so starting to move underway already. So here you go, you can see that I've brought some of the compost that was in the Dalek bin over to here. The grass there largely being nitrogen. There are some carbon-based components there as well, but this will largely be carbon in here because a lot of it is wood chip, so, or sawdust. So what I'm going to be doing is just tipping that on the top there, and I'm going to mix it in with a little bit of grass cuttings already, and this should make some really beautiful compost when the time comes. So you can have a look at that, and you can see, you know, that's, you know, really starting to compost already, and this will have beneficial bacteria in it, which will help to enrich this pile, and I'm hoping this to be ready relatively quickly. So this is starting to compost considerably already. Just move some of it onto here, and if I move I lift that up, I wonder if you can see some of that steam. There you go, can you see that steam that's coming up? Now, this grass here has only been down here, I think, 2 days. Less than 48 hours probably since I put it down here, or about 48 hours. So, and you can really see, I can just feel the warmth already, just how quickly that's beginning to compost. And all this mixed together is going to be phenomenal.